All right, so here's how to build a spreadsheet based on the milk and soft drink data that we have in our comparing change activity. So first thing I want to do is make a table on a spreadsheet that has the years we were given, the amount of milk consumption for each year, and the amount of soft drink consumption. And I put a little star on the milk and the soft drink to state what these numbers mean. The star is gallons per person per year. So in 1950, the average person drank 10, almost 11 gallons of soft drinks per year. In 2000, they were drinking almost 50 gallons of soft drinks per year. That's a lot. So what we want to do right here is calculate the change so we can come up with a linear model. The change will help us find the slope. The slope will help us find an equation. So for the change, we just want to calculate the new number minus the old number. So we have an increase of 38.5 for soft drinks. And then I can just fill that formula over. A decrease of 13.8 gallons per year per person for milk. And then I can drag that over one more time over 50 years. I'll make that pretty later. For slope, these numbers here, that's the rise for soft drinks. This is the rise or fall for milk, and this is the run because they're both changing over time. So for the slope here, I want to take my rise of 38 and divide by my run of 50 years. So soft drinks are consumption's rising by about 0.77 gallons per person per year. Same idea for milk. Equals the rise there divided by the run, 50. And then we'll let 1950 be our starting point. Our starting point is our y-intercept. So then I think the equation here, and I'm just typing it for my reference, not to calculate. So to tell the computer not to calculate with an equals, you put a little apostrophe first, then type equals. And I'm going to put a space to make it pretty. Negative 0.276 times, I'll call it T for now, for time, plus the starting point for milk is 36.4. Notice it didn't try to do a calculation. If I didn't put the apostrophe in there, it would scream at me I made a mistake. So apostrophe equals 0.77 times time plus the starting point of 10.8. So that's going to be my formula for soft drinks, my formula for milk. So now I'm going to make a new table. An important thing about the new table is what T means here. So I think underneath I'll make a note. T is going to be years after 1950. So underneath here, I'll put years milk, soft drinks. I'm going to make a new table. So year 0, year 1, and year 2. So that would represent 1950. 1951 and 1952. But the model is set up to know how many years have passed since 1950 because that's our starting point. So for milk, now I can actually use my equation because I have numbers for T here. So negative 0.276 times how many years have gone by, which is right next to me, plus the starting point. 36.4. And then I can fill that down and it'll do each calculation for me. Soft drink equals 0.77 is the slope there, times the number of years that have gone by, plus the starting point, 10.8. Right, so this is our starting point up here. Enter. Pull that down. Now remember, formulas can fill down based on one sample, but things like 1, 2, you need a double sample to fill down. That's why I'm starting with a few rows here. So now I can take all of these together and just fill them down a ways and see what I get. So let's take it down to 2018, which is somewhere down here, not far enough yet. Okay. So if I plug this in correctly, my model says in 2018, we're going to be down to below 18 gallons per person per year for milk and about 63 gallons per person per year for soft drinks. And what we want to look at here in the table is about when did one start to beat the other, right? Because at first milk is higher, but soft drinks on the rise. And eventually we're going to see that soft drinks are going to be more popular than milk. So about when did that shift? So somewhere in this region. I can also graph this by highlighting just those three columns. And asking for a chart. And I'm going to zoom out a little for this. Okay, so I want to change the chart type to line charts, and then it's trying to graph the years that have gone by too. I think it's the blue line. I don't want to see that. I want that to be along the bottom. So I want to use column B as my labels. Okay, so I can see somewhere a little farther than 20 years later. So this says they meet at around 25 years later. So 25 years after 1950 would be sometime in 1974, 75. Would be 25 years later. And I probably should add a title to this.
Are you going to post that?
I'm going to post this for everybody. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to go over this again tomorrow too. So milk versus soft drink consumption. Anytime I make a video, it automatically goes into my playlist, which is linked at the top of our site. So let's see, what else do we need? We got that. We need a vertical title. Sure. Gallons person per year. And horizontal. Year after 1950. Oh, I should have a nice pretty chart. Look at that. Gorgeous. All right. So it's at the bottom though. Let's move it up. Do one more to do that. Come here.
What do you get like that?
I got 1974-ish, 1975.
When I just looked at the graph, like when I did the estimate or whatever,
Yeah.
it looked like it was going to be like 1978.
Yours look like 78.
But then I got
Yeah, so if I zoom in on my graph here, let me go back in. So I graphed every year, and when I point to the intersection, it's telling me that in 25 years later, soft drinks is 30.5. So if I go look at my table, we're 75, we're 75. So let's highlight this region. In 74, milk was still a little higher than soft drinks, but then in 75, soft drinks got a little higher than milk. So the question, are these numbers at the beginning of each year, at the end of each year, in the middle of each year? It's just an average, right? So it's, so the best we can say on this data, it's like, if it changed at the same rate, maybe 75. Nice chart, Robert. Way to go.
hard because it's not big enough, so I had to subtract both ends.
Yeah. So doing it on paper is quite a challenge too. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording.
That's how you